this video, I'm going to walk you through creating a booking form for your WordPress website, and we're going to do this using Gravity Forms. So here I have a marketing agency website I've created, but here on our contact page, I would like to add a scheduling form here to this portion of the page. As you can see, we already have a Gravity form set up, and this is going to be our end goal and what I'm going to walk you through building in this video. Just to give you a quick overview, we have a name field, we have the email field, we have a few radio buttons, we have a paragraph field to collect more details, and then we have the booking portion of the form. The interesting part about this is that depending on what option they select here from the radio buttons, they'll see a different booking portion in the form. So here, this is the default one, so consultation. If they click through, they'll get a list of all the time slots, and then they'll get a little confirmation. Now, if someone selects someone on your team referred me, then they'll get a list of the different team members and they can book with one directly. So if Mario referred me to this agency, I can click book with Mario and I can speak with him again. Now that you have an idea of what we're going to build, let's go ahead and get started. Heading over to our WordPress dashboard, first thing I want to do is introduce you to the Simply Schedule Appointments plugin. This is what's going to provide the availability management, the calendars for our Gravity Forms. I also opened up their help center. They have a few different Gravity Forms guides to walk you through this integration and how to set it up. So for example, here is the one specifically for the appointment field. They have a video walkthrough and a few different steps to get you started. But going back to the video, I already have the plugin installed here on my site. As you can see here, we have Simply Schedule Appointments installed. And once that is installed, there is a new Appointments tab here on your WordPress dashboard. So this is all going to be managed and set up from your WordPress website. Going over to the Appointments tab, I'm going to give you a quick overview and walkthrough of what I have set up. This isn't going to be a full setup video, but just an overview, just for the sake of moving over to Gravity Forms a little quicker. So here in the Appointment Types tab, an appointment type is basically what represents a booking calendar along with all the rules. So here is our consultation calendar that we saw earlier. We have one appointment type set up for each team member here as well, just to give you a quick peek at the settings. So each appointment type comes with a few different tabs and more of them can be enabled depending on which settings you have as well. So here right now I have the basics tab and this is where I can set the duration. I have the availability. This is where I can drag and draw the hours that I'm available. We have the team members tab. We have a specific team member feature, so each one of these team members have their own unique schedule that can be managed by the plugin. So here I have it selected as any one of these team members can take this appointment and it's randomly assigned to them. We also have the all option, which allows all the team members to be available for a specific time slot. We have capacity, if this needs to be a group appointment, if multiple people can book the same time slot, for example. We have a few different scheduling options to give you a bit of a cushion between the different appointments with a buffer. You can set a notice required so you don't get any last minute bookings. You can set how far in advance you want to allow users to book. We also have a booking window in case you need to limit when users can book. We also have a per day limit where you can set a max number of these consultations that you can book in a day. And then we also have Google Calendar settings. So I already have Google set up with this plugin. And as you can see here, I have the option to sync all those events and all my appointments to that calendar. I can invite the customer using Google Invites. And then I also have the option to check for conflicts so I don't get double booked between any personal events and any events that are created with this plugin. We also have web meetings. Right now I'm using the web meeting URL set from the team member's profile. And then I have customer information, and this one we can ignore since we are using Gravity Forms to set up our booking form fields. And then the notifications, Simply Schedule Appointments, also can be in charge of sending all the email and SMS confirmations, cancellation messages, etc. So that's a quick overview of the appointment types. One thing that's different about these specific team member calendars is that if we go to the team members tab, you'll see that only Gabriel is selected. And the same thing is true for all the other ones. Only Mario is selected here and only Kelly is selected here. So moving on, we have the settings tab. And from here, we have a few different options. For example, general settings, you can set the time zone, your preferred date and time formats, and all the administrative information like the email, the name, etc. And then we have the styles tab. This is where I've entered the website styles, including the accent color and what background color I want for my booking form, as well as the font and the padding. And so this is the default style that you want to apply to all your forms. We also include translations, and some of the more popular ones are German, French, and Spanish. Next, we have advanced scheduling options. This is going to give each appointment type its own unique availability. By default, all of them are dependent on each other. So if one appointment type is to be booked at 9 a.m., all the other ones are going to be blocked off. So if you want to avoid that, or if you're using team members, we recommend turning independent availability on. Again, just a quick overview, we do have notifications by default. These 4 come included, 2 for the admin and 2 for the customer, just depending on different states. So when an appointment is booked and when an appointment is canceled. So if we click into one of these, you'll see that each notification has a few different settings. For example, you can CC BCC. You can also add in team member and admin emails using the little mail icon. You can select which appointment type, so you can tie specific notifications to different messages, and then you can edit the subject and the message. And at the very bottom, you can see a live preview just so you can make sure it looks exactly how you would like. All right, and so going back to our settings, we also have blackout dates in case you go on a vacation. You can come in and block off all the time slots across all the appointment types. Here are our Google Calendar settings and our calendar events. So these are the calendar events that Google generates, or the one that the confirmation screen provides. And then lastly, I wanted to give you a team feature overview since we are using this in our tutorial. So here we have 3 different team member profiles, one for Gabrielle, one for Mario, and one for Kelly. And if we take a quick peek, you'll see that we have their contact information filled in. We have a few permissions. Each one can be tied to a WordPress user, so they can log in and manage a few different settings themselves. In this case, they're not tied to a WordPress user, so the admin is in charge of managing their settings. So here you can see an overview of the appointment types they're tied to, their blackout dates. They can manage personal blackout dates, and then they also have the option to choose their working hours. You can either default it to the appointment typed hours, or you can set custom working hours for them. And then lastly, we have the web meetings. If you're using the team member feature, you'll need to set up virtual meetings. You'll need to assign a web meeting URL to each team profile. Alrighty, so last tab is the support tab. If you have any questions, we do have a quick way to contact our support team with this one-click support button. You can send us a message, send us the settings in your plugin, and you also have a handy list of guides to easily reference. And then the support tab also includes a bunch of different diagnostic information in case you find yourself needing to troubleshoot. Alrighty, so now that you have a general overview and point of reference for our Simply Schedule appointment settings, now we can go over to Gravity Forms and set up our booking form. So going back to the WordPress dashboard, heading over to our Gravity Forms settings, you can see we have our consultation booking form already set up, but let's start one from scratch. So I'm going to add new. And I'm just going to call it demo so I can tell them apart. I'm going to create the form. And to get started, the first thing we need to do is always add a name and email field. The Simply Schedule Appointments plugin requires those 2 to properly operate. So I'm going to quickly add those 2. And of course, you can go into the name and edit a few different options. For example, if you want to include the middle name, if you don't want to include the last name, and then make sure those are marked as required. So email also required. Alrighty, so the next thing I want to do to mirror the form that I already have created, I'm going to add in radio buttons. Alrighty, so we have our radio buttons, and then I'm going to quickly reference the form I have set up. So I'm probably just going to skip forward and just let you watch what I'm doing. Alright, so now that I have that set up, I can move on to the next field. We'll come back to this. We're not done with this yet. So we also have a paragraph text field, and I don't like how big that is, so I'm going to use the appearance options to make that small. And then I'm going to go back and copy the name. And then lastly, on our form, we just have the booking option. So Simply Schedule Appointments actually adds a unique and custom field for the integration. So here under advanced field, you'll see that there is a new appointment field that I can easily drag and drop into place. And by default, if I click into here, you'll see that all my appointment types are selected to be displayed. But in this case, we're going to do something a little special just to work with the conditional logic and with our radio buttons. If we go into general, first thing I want to do is just make sure I have the field label correct. If I switch back to my default one, book your consultation, I'm going to put that into place. And then instead of having all of them selected, I just want to have the consultation one. So I want to have two separate appointment fields and they're each going to be set up differently. So in this case, I have my first one set up where it's the default option, book your consultation. This is where you'll be randomly assigned to one of the members of the team. Now I want to create the alternate option. So if you want to book with someone on our team, and so it's going to come in this little list view. So now if I head back, I'm going to add another field and then another appointment field. This second appointment field, I'm going to copy the label, book a time with your referrer, and then I'm going to paste that in. So now I can tell the difference. This one's the default one, and then this one's the one where you book with a specific team member. Here under the appointment types, instead of having all of them selected, I just want the ones with the team members. So now you'll see that we're not showing that default consultation one. And once we're done, we can go ahead and save this just so we don't lose any progress. And last thing I want to do is set up the conditional logic. So now that I have my two appointment fields set up and each of them is showing their corresponding calendars, is avoid showing both of them. I don't want a customer to see two different booking options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie it with this radio button. So if I'm going to start with this default one, I'm going to click settings and then close that general tab and then head to the very bottom where it says conditional logic. I'm going to enable it. If you look closely, it says show this field if all of the following match. So I'm going to select the field, how did you hear about us? I'm going to choose is not. So as long as it's not the one where the team member referenced you, I want to show this field. So here I have that correctly set up. And then if someone happens to select the one option, someone on your team referred me, I want this one to show. So I'm going to toggle on the conditional logic. I'm going to select that same field. How did you hear about us? But this time instead of is not, I want is. So as long as it is this last option, the team referred me, then show this field. So if we save that form and preview it really quick, so as you can see, by default, we're showing the correct calendar. Now, if somebody selects that bottom option, they quickly get redirected to the alternate appointment booking option. So here I can choose a team member. And so I've successfully recreated the form I have as a reference. Last thing I want to do is show you how I added it to my page. So here on my contact page, I clicked edit page, and this particular theme, this particular website is actually using the WordPress block editor. And as you can see here, if I use my little navigator, I have a few containers set up, and then I have this including my gravity form, and this one is actually just a regular block. So if I type in gravity forms, you'll see that this comes included. What I ended up doing is selecting the gravity form block, selecting the form from this dropdown. So now you can see I have my original one that I used as a reference, and then the one I just created here with you along in this video. So we can easily just swap those. Here in the gravity block settings, we just want to make sure we toggled off the form title and then the form description. We don't want these to be displayed just because I already have a heading here scheduled today, and I'm going to use that in place of the actual form title. So I'm going to go ahead and click update, and then I'm going to take a look at my page. All right, so if we scroll down, you'll see that it looks exactly the same as before. And if we select our little option containing the conditional logic, you'll see that the booking portion is acting as we expect it to. Alrighty, so last thing on the list is to book an appointment and give you a quick overview of how you'd be managing this using the plugin and how the email situation would work. So I'm going to skip forward through this and just let you see me book the appointment. So here I have my Gravity Forms confirmation message. It says, thanks for contacting us. We'll get in touch with you shortly. And this can be edited here under settings, confirmations, And I believe you have a few different options on what you would like to display user after the form is submitted. For example, you can show text on the screen, you can redirect them to a brand new page, or you could direct them to an external page. I believe that's what this option is for. So just to give you a heads up, that's where you would change it. Now that I have my first submission, we can head over to the entries page, and you'll see that here it's been recorded, and if we view this, we have all the information that we entered along with the booking that we selected. So February 16th at 9:30 a.m. Heading back to the appointments page, we'll walk through a few of the different things to keep in mind while you manage these bookings. So the first thing that I'm seeing here is a bunch of pending form submissions. So just to make note, anytime somebody selects a time slot from the Gravity form, it is marked as pending. It immediately goes into a pending state just to make sure that nobody else comes in and books that same time slot. If we click into one of these pending form submissions, you'll see that we'll get a bit more information. For example, this will be marked abandoned in 20 minutes. So that's another thing to keep in mind. This pending state only lasts for 30 minutes. This can always be extended or reduced, but just depending on how long your form is, this is usually not a big deal. If you have a very long form, we recommend you put the booking form or the booking portion at the very end, so that this is not triggered till someone's about to submit their appointment. That's what the pending form submission entries mean. But if we scroll to the very bottom, you'll see that we have the one that I just entered, Natalie G, and you'll see that the appointment type I booked with is listed along with the team member. So book with Gabrielle. And if we view the appointment details, we'll see all the information that was entered from the Gravity form. And we also have a section here to link you back to the Gravity form. So if we click view entry, it'll redirect us back to that same form that we just looked at. And the last thing I want to show you is what the email notifications look like. So by default, again, for notifications, but if we scroll down to the live preview, I just want to show you what it would look like for this particular submission. So Natalie G, she would receive this email confirmation, and if you look closely, all her information from Gravity Forms is passed over. The Zoom web meeting link that Gabrielle provides is listed here as well, the time of the appointment. And they also have a link to edit this booking if they need to. So if I click this link, I'll open it in a new tab, and this is what they'll see. So they'll have the option to edit their information, reschedule, or cancel this appointment. Alrighty, and so with that said, that is how you set up a booking form with Gravity Forms. And I hope this was helpful. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions, or if you wanted to just double check with our support team and see if this would be a good fit for your website. We're always happy to help and even set up a demo site with Gravity Forms for you. Thanks for watching.